As the job market softens and inflation further decelerates, the Federal Reserve's confidence in its effort to control inflation wanes. Welcome to RealPage Economy Express. The October employment report presented a unique scenario where seemingly negative news was actually positive. The report showed that the economy added 150,000 jobs in October, significantly lower than the 12-month average of 258,000, and marked the smallest increase since January 2021. Additionally, revisions to the August and September non-farm payroll data reduced the total job count by 101,000. However, a less positive aspect was the growth in workers' wages, which increased by 4.1% year-over-year in October, a slowdown from the 4.8% rise seen in the same month last year. Now, as we have mentioned in the past, employment is one of the major drivers of rent growth. This chart clearly shows a parallel trend. As the 12-month moving average of employment has declined over the past year, effective rent changes have followed suit. However, the pace of rent reduction has accelerated recently, influenced not just by the employment trends, but also by an abundant supply of new apartments. Interestingly, despite the ongoing decline in rents, this trend wasn't mirrored in the latest inflation report released by the government. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the Consumer Price Index, the most comprehensive gauge of inflation, was unchanged in October, but showed a 3.2% increase over the past 12 months. Notably, the Scheller Index saw a rise in October, contributing to over 70% of the total increase in all items indexed excluding food and energy. Now, this significant impact is attributed to the BLS's somewhat outdated methodology for calculating inflation, a subject worthy of a separate discussion. Now, the Producer Price Index delivered perhaps the most unexpected news in our current review period. In October, the PPI dropped by 50 basis points, defying the expectations of many economists who had predicted a 10 basis points increase. Now, this marked the sharpest decline in over 3.5 years, adding further evidence that inflation is decelerating at a decent pace. Now, this report was released shortly after Federal Reserve Chairman, during a speech recently, expressed doubts about whether the Fed had done enough to control inflation, hinting at the possibility of additional rate hikes. Now, this stance comes at a time when analysts from major investment banks like UBS are already forecasting a reduction in the federal funds rate by up to 270 basis points just in 2024. Therefore, the latest PPI report might influence Chairman Powell's perspective on the future measures the Fed should take to combat inflation. Thanks for tuning in. We hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, have a happy Thanksgiving.